Hey, truth seekers, welcome back. Sack here. Yesterday, April 10th, 2016, it was reported that former NFL star Will Smith, who played his career with the New Orleans Saints, was murdered in an act of road rage at the age of 34. Do not confuse this Will Smith with the actor from The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and many movies. Oddly enough, at the same time as this killing, Will Smith was receiving a Lifetime Achievement Award for acting at the MTV Movie Awards. In this video, what I want to do is show all that is suspicious about the reporting of the murder of this football player. There's a lot of very interesting details here. We're going to break it all down. We're going to begin with the news coverage. Before we watch that, I just want to say, in recent months, I've been talking a lot about ritual sacrifice of celebrities in connection to major sports games such as the Super Bowl. I've done a lot of work on the celebrities who died in close proximity to the Super Bowl. I think this death of Will Smith is connected to the outcome of Super Bowl 50, which was won by Peyton Manning and the Denver Broncos. Will Smith, in his career, had defeated Peyton Manning when he was on the Colts in Super Bowl 44, which we'll talk about. And of course, Peyton Manning, son of Archie Manning, played the majority of his career for the New Orleans Saints. So we're going to talk about all that and more. Let's begin with the news coverage, though, right here.
One life is over, and another life is ruined. New details are emerging over the apparent road rage killing of beloved New Orleans Saints defensive end Will Smith. Police say this man, 28-year-old Cardell Hayes, quote, exchanged words with Smith after rear-ending the former NFL player's car at a rural New Orleans intersection late Saturday night. Soon after, Hayes, now charged with second-degree murder, pulled out a handgun, gunning down the 2010 Super Bowl champion and shooting his wife in the leg. Just hours earlier, the couple posting this selfie together, Smith writing, having a blast.
Raquel's at the hospital recovering, and she's surrounded by her family, and we're just praying that she has the strength to get through this.
Police are now investigating whether the relationship between Smith and a former police officer, Billy Saravallo, who posted this photo on Facebook, dining with Smith an hour before his murder, had anything to do with the shooting. The reason? The former officer was involved in the 2005 killing of the gunman's father. In a decade-old federal law...
I just want to pause and point something out. This news story about the killer of Will Smith, his father being a man gunned down by the New Orleans police, that was the first police shooting of a civilian after Hurricane Katrina, which happened in September of 2005. The shooting of this man's father was a big news story. New Orleans police were under a lot of scrutiny for what went down in New Orleans during the time of Katrina. Then they got more negative press for the shooting of this man's father, who, as you can see in the video, was surrounded by cops and looked relatively harmless.
Suit filed by the gunman, Hayes claims Saravallo and 5 other officers used excessive force when they shot and killed his father after he allegedly lunged at them with a small pocket knife. We do not have any information to suggest that they knew one another or that this was anything other than an accident that turned into a dispute. Over the weekend, an outpouring of grief over the loss of one of the New Orleans Saints' most famous players flooded social media. Smith's former teammate Reggie Bush writing, "You were a great man and did so much good for so many people in New Orleans. You will be greatly missed."
All right, so there was the news coverage from CNN. Let's now go through this article piece by piece. I want to begin with the MTV ceremony where Will Smith, the actor, was receiving the Lifetime Achievement Award at the time of this tragedy in New Orleans. If you're new here, I talk about Gematria, the practice of coding numbers into words. A lot of people think this is a really silly thing to look at, but if you take the time to go through my research, you see that there's a very well-documented pattern of certain numbers being coded into ritual sacrifice. So look, MTV in English Gematria sums to 330. What stands out about this is the 33. Yesterday, CNN, for the majority of the day, had this headline up: former NFLer shot dead, charges filed. And in Gematria, 303. In numerology, 0 doesn't count. So 303, 330, they're both a lot like 33, which is a number of sacrifice, something I talk about often on this channel. One of the most classic examples is Jesus on the cross at age 33. Also, MTV in Simple English Gematria sums to 55. This is a number connected to sacrifice. You know, for us people in the mainstream, we probably can't think of a reason why you would need to sacrifice one celebrity to the benefit of, say, another celebrity. Will Smith was being honored for his career in acting. At the same time, Will Smith, the football player, was being killed. But again, remember, it is the Freemasons who are responsible for these riddles in the news by the numbers. And Freemasonry is thousands of years old. In human history, we have learned about how other cultures in the world of athletic competition, there has very much been a component of human sacrifice. Here in North America, our southern neighbors, where the Mayans used to be, the champions of their sports competitions would volunteer themselves to be sacrificed. The winners sacrificed. So there's a long tradition in this world of human sacrifice connected to athletic competition and more. Notice the name Will Smith has Gematria 44. The kill number is 44. Will Smith also was winner of Super Bowl 44 over the Indianapolis Colts. Colts over the Saints. It was the first Super Bowl ever won for the Saints. It was interesting that the Saints defeated Peyton Manning, the son of Archie Manning. Archie Manning played his entire career with the Saints when they were known as the Aints because they always lost, never had a winning season. In Gematria, I want to show you the word kill real quick. Notice in Jewish Gematria, kill equals 59. In Simple English Gematria, 44. We're going to be talking about both of these numbers. The number 59 is coded into the killer. CNN in the news we just watched was sure to emphasize the phrase, having a blast. Having a blast in Gematria sums to 44. Will Smith, 44. Having a blast, 44. In Simple English Gematria, it also sums to 116. The number 911 upside down. Emergency dialing code number. Between Will Smith, the actor, and Will Smith, the football player, here are some interesting synchronicities. Will Smith, the actor, starred in 148 episodes of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Will Smith, the football player, played in 148 career games, 139 in the regular season. Freemasonry equals 139. And then 9 more with the playoffs for a total of 148. Will Smith, the actor, is currently 47 years old. Will Smith, the NFLer, his birthday was July 4th, which is written 4/7, day before the month in most parts of the world. So some interesting parallels between these men. Also, Will Smith, the actor, his birthday is September 25th, 1968. Will Smith, the football player, July 4th, 1981. They're born 666 weeks apart. Very interesting number connected to time and more. Ex-NFLer killed, charges filed. Another headline CNN had up running for part of the day. The gematria of this phrase is a little bit different. What stands out is the number 234. When you add 234 to its reflection, 432, it sums to 666. And there was a time where I used to not think these methods were that relevant, but in the last year I saw something very significant on a certain date. I have a video about this. On Obama's 6th year, 6th month, and 6th day in office, two things happened here in the United States. Obama was in Africa speaking in Kenya on that date, In the United States, there were two very interesting things that happened on the same day. In Detroit, the first public satanic statue was revealed, and for the news reporting, they sent a reporter whose name Gematria summed to 666 to talk about this satanic statue. The name was Priya Man. Priya Man equaled 666. And also, what was interesting about that is the satanic statue was a Baphomet, and the Baphomet is the goat-headed figure that normally has breasts. The satanic statue in Detroit was a Baphomet that was missing its breasts. Normally it has breasts, it didn't have any. On this same date, the show I Am Kate debuted. You know, Bruce Jenner to Caitlyn Jenner. And the very beginning of that show begins with the numbers 432. Bruce Jenner, Kate Jenner wakes up at 4:32 in the morning, and what's shown is the alarm clock for the opening seconds with that time. And Bruce Jenner or Kate Jenner goes, "I'm so tired." Again, 234 plus its reflection, 432, 666. On this date, Obama's 6th year, 6th month, 6th day in office, these major 666 tributes, all seemingly connected to the satanic agenda, which is a real agenda. And people ask me, they say, "Zach, how can you be talking about the satanic agenda when you're not a Christian?" You know, you don't have to be of any spiritual belief to see what's going on in this world. If you learn about what Satanism is, it's the worship of yourself. And the people who rule this world, they're very selfish people. So, Satanism, selfishness, directly connected. But anyhow, this major 666 tribute on this date in history opened my eyes to the greater significance of all these different numerology methods. All right, so moving on. They say the killer's name was Cardell Hayes, and in the news story we found out that he was the son of the father who was murdered right after Katrina. And if we read about Cardell Hayes, it turns out he was a very good high school football player in the state of Louisiana. Notice his name in Gematria. Cardell Hayes equals 50 and 59 with the S exception. Again, 59 is the kill number in Jewish Gematria. It also happens to be a number stamped all over black Americans. Negro 59, Slave 59, Blues 59. Motown Records came out in the year 59, and more. I've done a lot of work on the stamping of 59 on black Americans. So Cardell Hayes, they tell us, is the killer. They said that Cardell was 28 years old as well. Cardell equals 28. Interesting that his age is like his name. In simple English Gematria, Cardell equals 55 and Hayes equals 58. Freemasonry equals 58. We talked about how 55 has to do with sacrifice. This is the man blamed for the death of Will Smith. Put it together, Cardell Hayes sums to 113. And this is a very important number to the Freemasons. Scottish equals 113, as in Scottish Rite Freemasonry, the branch of Freemasonry responsible for the creation of football. Anyhow, words such as mainstream, dishonest, and green screen all have Gematria of 113. This is a number routinely coded into Masonically contrived news, if you will. His initials CH, 3, C is 3, H is 8. The word death equals 38. When his father was killed, see if I have this up here. When his father was killed, his father was 38 years old in 2005. Shot December 26th. 12 plus 26, 38. A date with 38 numerology. Killed at 38. Death equals 38. And what I'm about to say is speculation. But here's what we see going on in the media right now. We see people conspiring to bring about all these fake shootings that are meant to provoke the public in a number of ways, a lot of times along racial boundaries. And the question becomes, how long has this been going on in the media? Is it possible that the murder of Anthony Hayes, December 26, 2005, the first police killing in New Orleans after Katrina, was a manufactured story meant to provoke the public, meant to add, more incriminating evidence against the New Orleans Police Department, which was already under heavy media scrutiny at the time. We see these images of the police surrounding a man, pointing their guns at him, and he's doing nothing. He's putting his hands in the air. It doesn't look like he's any threat. But then we get the story that he was shot to death. These stories anger a lot of people. And I know from firsthand experience that the police are responsible for a lot of wrongdoing in this world. But I also recognize how the media is actively trying to work people up. So what I'm saying is perhaps this family, Cardell Hayes, Anthony Hayes, perhaps they are just conspiring as part of this Masonic network to help dupe the masses. Perhaps all these people involved in this story are involved with Freemasonry. And these are well-scripted hoaxes, if you will, planned narratives. So anyhow, yesterday, Will Smith, the football player supposedly killed at age 34. The word murder equals 34. The name William, his full first name, equals 34. William. What's interesting is 34 is a Fibonacci number, the numbers of life. 34 is the 9th Fibonacci number. And the reporting of his death came yesterday, Sunday, April 10th, 2016, exactly 9 weeks after Super Bowl 50. Remember, the killer, Cardell Hayes, has named Gematria 50. Show you what's up with this. Yesterday, the date of the heavy reporting of this death, a date with 50 numerology, coming 9 weeks later. And the significance of 63 days is this. After the Paris, France terror attack, there was a lot of programming in the NFL giving tribute to the attack. I did videos on this, showing how they picked certain teams that had gematria corresponding to the attack to give tribute. Think about New Orleans. New Orleans, French name, Paris, France. In the attack that day, November 13th, the number 63 was coded all over it, just as it was earlier in the year in the Charlie Hebdo attack, also in Paris, France. Paris in Gematria equals 63, Charlie Hebdo equals 63. They say the attack on November 13th, the majority of the loss of life happened at the Bataclan Theater. The Bataclan Theater was sold by its Jewish owners on September 11th, exactly 63 days before the attack. Now here, 63 days after the Super Bowl, in the French city, New Orleans, we get this death of Will Smith, who seems to be very much tied to the Super Bowl. This is what I mean when I say ritual sacrifices by the numbers connected to big games. And as I've explained before, these deaths come before the event, during the event, after the event. Also, Super Bowl 50 was played on a date with 45 numerology. New Orleans has Gematria 45. Again, Peyton Manning won the Super Bowl, going out in his retirement. The son of Archie Manning, who played his whole career with the New Orleans Saints. Just prior to Will Smith's killing, they say he was at dinner in the French Quarter Fest. I just noticed this French Quarter Fest has Gematria of 96, like the word Freemason. Some things could be a coincidence, but oftentimes they are not. The street he was killed on is called Magazine Street. Magazine Street has Gematria of 64 and 73. New Orleans Saints has Gematria of 64 and 73. So does the word sacrifice. The word sacrifice has Gematria of 73. They say what happened is Will Smith and his wife were returning from being out at this dinner. They were rear-ended by a Hummer driven by Cardell Hayes. It got into an altercation of some kind over the accident, and Cardell Hayes shot Will Smith, and apparently the wife as well, accidentally in the leg. They say he was driving a Hummer. They've shown the Hummer in the news. Didn't look like there was a lot of damage to the front of the Hummer, but it is a big vehicle. They didn't say how hard the wreck was. Well, they did say that Will Smith's car was knocked into another car, part of his entourage. But anyway, if you see the footage of the Hummer's front looks clean. Anyhow, Hummer, one of those words with 33 Gematria, numbers they love to code into these rituals. So here's what's interesting. He was shot late April 9th. The news came out April 10th. 3 days earlier, Will Smith was at the United Nations in New York City promoting his foundation. Where there's a will, there's a way. He was talking about his foundation at the United Nations in New York. Remember, the United Nations is a Masonic Zionist front. Its symbol is the flat earth broken up into 33 pieces. The United Nations created Israel with a 33-member vote. Anyhow, the date that Will Smith was at the United Nations was April 6th, 2016, a date with 46 numerology. The word sacrifice equals 46. April 6th is also typically the 96th day of the year, like the word Freemason. However, this year is a leap year, so it's technically the 97th day. But still, this date has those connections, 46, 96. Very interesting that he was just there days before his death. Remember, Peyton's brother also plays in New York City. The last time Peyton won a Super Bowl, Eli won the next year. All right, so let's go through some more details. Here's what else is suspicious. His birth name for Will Smith is William Raymond Smith III, born July 4th, 1981, dead April 9th, 2016. His name in Gematria, his full name, William Raymond Smith, equals 94. And think about how he was killed on April 9th. In most parts of the world, that date is written 9/4. He died on a date corresponding with his name perfectly. Again, Will Smith, the shortened name, equals 44, the kill number. And I noticed that the name Will in Jewish Gematria equals 949. Very interesting in light of him dying on April 9th. Also, the date that Will Smith, the actor, receiving his Lifetime Achievement Award. His birthday, July 4th, 1981, a date with numerology of 111 connecting to New York. Again, he was just in New York days before. Date he died, date with 49 numerology, numbers of revelation. Revelation, very important in regards to all of the coding in New York. If you've never seen my videos on New York and the Book of Revelation, please check them out. That research is a lot more clear, a lot easier to understand. When we're decoding these celebrity deaths, there's all these elements of mystery. We're trying to get to the truth, but there's a lot we don't know. He died 86 days before what would have been his 35th birthday. Again, words such as symbol, triangle, and pyramid have gematria of 86. So the update today is that Will Smith was eating with this cop who is accused of being involved with the murder of Cardell Hayes' father, Anthony Hayes, which we talked about after Katrina. And as I routinely point out, the Freemasons, they control the police, they control the sports leagues, they have a giant web of control. And so often in these suspicious celebrity deaths, the police are involved in one way or another. Show you what's up with this officer here. The officer's name is Captain Billy Saravolo. And the name is very interesting. In Gematria, Captain Billy Saravolo sums to 74, like Masonic. So often when we decode these police officers named in these stories, their names sum to 74. Very important number to the Freemasons. What I also notice is the name Saravolo. The small way equals 37, just like Saints. The big way equals 91, just like Saints. Will Smith himself also wore the number 91. Captain Billy Saravolo, the big way, equals 191. Society of Jesus has Gematria of 191. That's the other name for the Jesuit order, a Masonic institution. Again, police, the word in Gematria, sums to 33, the number of Freemason obsession. So many police stations in this nation are directly across the street from the local Masonic lodge. Here's the picture of the officer with Will Smith. This might be Will Smith's son, I'm not sure. Oh, excuse me, Saints Pierre Thomas. He's a young looking guy. He also plays on the team. So 2 New Orleans Saints and the officer. Interesting post time of 5:55. It's all really suspicious, you know? I mean, just think about it. He's out to dinner with this police officer. He gets murdered an hour later, and the man accused of killing him is connected to the police officer through the death of his father. You know? How do all of these details come together 11 years later? Or 10 and a half years later? December 2005 to April 2016. It's a very strange web. And the connection I see is Freemasonry. We know who controls the NFL, we know who controls the police, and we know who codes these numbers that we find in all of these men. The last name Hayes has Gematria of 58 like Freemasonry. Here's Will Smith, number 91, the name Gematria of the officer connected to this story. Again, New Orleans Saints has Gematria of 64, 73 as well, and also 91. So R.I.P. Will Smith. That said, it is possible that Will Smith isn't really dead. CNN hinted in their article that Will Smith wanted to become an FBI officer. You know, it's possible that this is also how they close out an identity and create a new identity for, you know, a new purpose. Maybe Will Smith's going to do something else with the rest of his life. He's only 34 years old, a lot of life ahead of him. Very much likely a part of this Masonic network. You know? One of two things is going on. Ritual sacrifice by the numbers, or end of an identity by the numbers, beginning of a new life. Escape from the limelight. So there's always more research to do, but what is presented here, very suspicious. The Masonic numbers showing up. Just even look at CNN's post time, posting at 10:44 a.m. 44 and 144 have these relationships connected to death. When you write out 44, it sums to 144. Remember, kill equals 44. Killer in Jewish gematria equals 144. Numbers that show up again and again around death. CNN loves to timestamp their articles with numbers of significance. And again, just the 44 alone. Will Smith equals 44. Kill equals 44. Won Super Bowl 44. Over Peyton Manning, who just won the most recent Super Bowl. All right, Truth Seeker, until next time.